start the recording. Good morning. I'm calling to order the I'm calling to order the Connecticut State Advisory Council for Special Education meeting today on September 13th.
Recording in progress.
9:01 a.m. Give me 1 second. My name is Susan Yankee, and I am the chair as well as a parent member. During this meeting, we will use many acronyms. So two that we often use are the SAC, which is this council, the Connecticut State Advisory Council for Special Education, and Connecticut State Department of Education, which is CSDE. If you use a new acronym during this meeting, just take a quick second to explain what it is, because we have a lot of people that watch these videos. Also, we're now going to do introduction and roles. So I just want to make sure, and it looks like everybody has their name in their screen box. And I'm going to call out your name on the screen. Just introduce yourself quickly and what your role is on the council. And I wish there was a way I could turn the dinging off so nobody heard it. Sorry about that. Okay, Missy, I'm going to start with you. What is it to introduce yourself?
All right, and I'll turn the dinging off for you in just a second. I am Missy Rickley. I am a consultant at CERC, the State Education Resource Center, and I am on SAC as a parent of a young boy with disabilities.
Wonderful. Jennifer?
Good morning, I'm Jennifer Lucier. I am the vice chair and a parent stakeholder representative.
Thank you. Jake?
Hello everyone, my name is Jake Trumbull. I am a student representative and a chair of one well.
Thank you, Jake. Representative Comey?
Good morning. Thank you, Susan. I'm Representative Comey, and I am state rep for Branford. I was previously on the SAC couple, I guess, right prior to COVID, and then a little bit throughout COVID. I have a son with health disabilities, so I before I became a legislator was an advocate for his care. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here. Sean?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Cronin. I'm an education consultant at the State Department of Education in the Bureau of Special Education. So great to see everyone.
Thank you. Lori?
Hi, I'm Lori Fortuna. I am here as a parent member. I have two beautiful children that we adopted 7 years ago, both who have special needs.
Thank you. Catherine Sum?
Good morning, I'm Catherine Sum, and the stakeholder group I represent is the Department of Aging and Disability Services, Bureau of Education and Services for the Blind. And at the SAC, I'm on the executive committee and I'm the chair of the membership committee.
Thank you. Tammy?
Good morning, I'm Tammy Raccio. I am a parent representative and past chair for the SAC.
Thank you. Denise?
Good morning, I'm Denise Drummond. I'm a policy analyst with the Connecticut Commission on Women, Children, Seniors, Equity and Opportunity. I represent the African American Subcommission. I'm also a board member for Disability Rights Connecticut, and I am a mother of a college student who's a senior.
Wonderful. Thank you, Denise. Allison?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Allison Copey. I represent the Department of Aging and Disability Services as well, but the Bureau of Rehabilitation Services, also known as BRS.
Thank you. Kimberly?
Good morning. My name is Kimberly Williamson, and I represent speech language pathologists.
Thank you. Jeff?
Yes, I'm Jeffrey Spar. I'm on as a parent member. Also, I am the chairman of the legislative committee.
Wonderful. Mary Beth?
Hi, I'm Mary Beth Bruder. I direct the Center on Disability at the University of Connecticut. I'm here representing the stakeholder group of higher education faculty, but I'm also a parent. And I will apologize. I don't know if anybody is under the thunderstorm cell that I am. My lights are flickering on. So if suddenly I'm gone, it's because of this horrible storm we're right in the middle of.
Thank you. Thank you. Anna?
Hi, I'm Anna Wittig. I work at Oak Hill School, but I'm on SAC representing private special education approved schools. And Mary Beth, so good to see you.
It's so good to see you too, Anna.
Cassandra?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Cassandra Riley. I represent charter schools. I work at Brass City Charter, a sweet little school up in Waterbury, and I'm also the parent of 2 children with IEPs and 2 children with 504s. So got it all.
Wow, thank you. Amy?
Good morning, everyone. How are you today? My name is Amy. People with disabilities and require a good amount of support in school. They are both at the elementary level. My background is in education as an elementary classroom teacher, and currently now I work in reading intervention. And I'm also the parent ambassador for Great by 8, which is the Early Childhood Collaborative in West Hartford. And that's a part of the, as a part of the OEC parent cabinet. And I must apologize, I might have to be off camera a bit this morning, and I do apologize for that.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. Glad to have you
Thanks
here.
so much. Thank you.
Dimpy? Dimpy? Oh, Dimpy, we can't hear Dimpy.
Sorry about that. Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Dimpy Malvania. I'm here as a parent stakeholder, and I have 2 beautiful twin boys. Both of them have disability. One of them has IEP, and one of them has 504.
Thank you. John?
Hi, my name is Jonathan Metcalf, and I am here as a parent stakeholder.
Thank you so much. Mia? I'm not sure. Mia, I'm not sure if you can. Oh, Mia might be actually. Are you on, Mia? Because I see it's her otter. Okay, Mia, we could come back to you, but glad you're here. Jolie? Hello, Jolie.
Good morning. I'm the assistant to the State Advisory Council. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Welcome back.
Thank you. Joshua?
Sorry, I lost where my mouse was. I'm Joshua Martin. I'm the Director of Pupil Services with East Haddam Public Schools, and I'm representing Concase.
Thank you. Jovi?
Good
Jovi?
morning. Good morning, everyone. I do want to start by apologizing for having my camera off. I'm suffering from allergies, and I have to blow my nose several times. So, well, good morning. My name is Joviana Morales. I am here as a parent representative. I also work for CPAC.
Thank you. Brian?
Good morning, everybody. My apologies for being off camera. I'm running from those storms as we speak in the car, so I don't want to be on camera. So those of you getting it, buckle up. It's, you might get some torrential rains. But Brian Smith, Assistant Regional Director representing the Department of Developmental Services and all the constituents that we do support statewide.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited how many people were able to make it today, especially with the weather. So Jolie, is there anybody for public comment? Jolie?
Sorry, I muted myself
Is
again.
there anyone
I'm
for
sorry.
public comment?
There was no one at this time, and if someone joins, I'll put my hand up.
Okay, thank you so much.
Electronic hand up there.
Great. So the next that we have is actually what's not on here, Jolie, we might have skipped it, is the council purpose and function. So I'm just, it's not on the agenda, but I didn't notice it wasn't. So we're just going to quickly, I'm going to say the council purpose and function is under the authority of the Connecticut General Statutes. The Connecticut State Department of Education maintains an advisory council for the purpose of providing policy guidance with respect to special education, and related services for children and youth with disabilities in the state. More information is on the Connecticut State Department of Education website, along with past meeting videos, past annual reports. If you're new to the SAC, it's a really great resource to get acquainted with the council. So just Google the name of our council and you'll find it. Okay, a consent agenda. The July 19th full SAC meeting minutes need to be approved. Any corrections to the minutes? I have one. Just in the listing of who was there, Jennifer Lucier is the vice chair.
And I was going to add, there's an extra comma after Tom Kosker, and towards the end of the minutes, where it's like the roundtable discussion, it looks like the sentence for Brian Smith's feedback was going to include something else because it says and. So I'm not sure what the rest of it says. Also talks, audits, and that's under actually the legislative committee report.
I have noted both of the revisions that need to be made.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anybody else?
I was not at the meeting, but it says that I was.
Sorry, I'm not, who was that?
Kim Williamson.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Anyone else for corrections to the minutes? Okay. All right. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes with corrections? Anybody?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, yay. So Jen. And who's seconding?
Joviana.
Okay, Jovi is going to second. Okay, abstentions from those who did not attend the minutes. Please raise your hand. Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes with corrections, please raise your hand or your hand button on the screen. Okay, the July 19th full SAC meeting minutes are now approved. That was great and quick.
Susan?
Yes.
Would you like me to pull up the slide deck?
Yes, because I do know that Jen just shared the, I would love to see the council minute, the council meeting dates.
Sure.
So if that's possible, and then the roundtable resource. Thank you, Sean. Yeah, just the meeting dates to go over quickly.
Do we want to do executive committee first?
Sure. You mean in what sense? Executive committee update? Yeah, that's me.
Yep.
Yep. And under it, so we have the 23-24 council meeting dates. Those would have been at the bottom of your agenda if you happen to print one up, or you see it. You can see one up here, but at the end of every agenda, the meetings will be listed. October 25th, I just spoke with Mr. Klemenkowitz, and we're going to make the legislative breakfast and the LOB to be the January 17th date. Because I'm sure Representative Comey can share this with us, but we believe the belief is the legislators will not be there on the 25th to do a legislative breakfast. That January 17th. Yes, Representative Comey?
We do not go in, it's a short session, so we actually do not go in until early February.
Really? So we should make it later? There won't be anyone in the building?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if that's the intent, I don't, yeah, we don't go in until that we don't get sworn in until that, or first, not sworn in, but we don't go back until that first Wednesday in February. Okay. I can look at that date.
Right. Because Jolie, is this correct? We cannot use the LOB when it is in session, when they're in session.
That is correct. And
right.
Laura did mention that they were back closer to February. That's why she suggested January. But I agree with you. Now that Senator Comey's back with us, it's good to get her advice on when Senator Comey, whenever you think we don't have a set date, we want to target as many people in attendance as possible.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, people do go up to Hartford, you know, a variety of times for a variety of reasons. I mean, I'm on Human Services and we've been having meetings throughout. So, but for the most part, you know, it'll start. I think if you want to really get the best attendance. And the other thing is, if you guys need a meeting space, in the LOB, I'm happy to reserve a room for the meeting if we need that.
That would be
Inside or
perfect.
outside of session.
That that would be perfect. We will discuss that with the executive committee, and we will definitely be back. I will definitely be back to you with that one. You can mark my words on that one, because I with when it comes to getting a room, it takes me a little longer, and we're kind of pushing it close for the October date. So thank you so much, Senator Robbie. Comey, I will reach out to you on that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. You already been a great help in the first, 10 minutes? Thank you.
I was going to
We've
say
been
the
working
same
on this
thing.
for a long time, so thank you.
Not even 24 hours, and we already started on a roll.
That's awesome. Okay, so I believe now the April 24th meeting is no longer it is a definite. It's not, last year we had a May meeting. Oh no, wait, I've got it incorrect. The May meeting now is a definite. It's not, usually we say if we need it, we're definitely doing that. So just notice that on there. When we do in person, we're working diligently to find a central location around Hartford or Cheshire. So everybody will have a little distance to come into, but a centrally located place. Sean, can we move on to we're going to move on to next to the roundtable resource. Is that possible? Oh, yeah. Updates and sharing of upcoming events. Wonderful. So also shared with you, and it's in the meeting chat, is a roundtable discussion guide, so that when we have our roundtables, they're more efficient and stick more to what our charge is with the SAC. So just, if you have time, take a quick perusal of it. It's basically tips for representing your stakeholder group. So know who your stakeholder group is that you represent. So I'm a parent, so I represent the parents of children with disabilities stakeholder group. But if you work, because we have people on the SAC that maybe work for an agency, but they also have a child with a disability. So if they're appointed as the parent member, then they speak to that. But if they're appointed through your educational agency, then you speak to that. So whatever your appointment is.
Susan, can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
I don't know where you said that resource was available to us.
Yes, Jennifer, I believe, put it into the chat.
Okay, thanks.
And it should, and you should have received it when you received the agenda.
Okay, thanks. And Brian Smith has his hand raised. I know it's
Okay,
hard.
good. I can't. Oh, Brian, yes.
So unrelated to your facility central location, we do, DDS does have an office in Wallingford right off of 91, easy on, easy off. So if you're looking for a location and that seems somewhat central, I can look into that. We have plenty of large meeting space in that facility, depending on the day. So just throwing it out there as another solution as a central location if people are interested.
And Brian, are they able to do virtual? And because we have people that will still be virtual even when we're in person.
Yes, I can verify that. If there is interest, I can just see what technology we can tap into in that larger meeting space.
Wonderful. Jolie. Oh, she might be off. So it's Jolie is the one who is organizing that, I believe, Sean. Is that right?
It is.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I couldn't mute myself with the gallery here. I lost myself in the gallery.
I know. I only have 4 people up, so I can't see whose hands are up.
Brian, I just have a quick question. I'm sorry. Can you tell me what location you said that was in? You said
Wallingford.
And is the location accessible? Are we wheelchair accessible in there?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
I
wonderful.
know, I noted it, Susan, I noted it for the
Thank you so very
allocation.
much. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. And thank you. Please tell me if I'm not noticing a hand up, because I only have very few people that I can see on my screen. Okay, so the key for a good roundtable is that you reach out to who your stakeholders are, if you're able to, in between meetings, and see what their concerns, unmet needs, or things that are working great that you could share with us. What to share is trends, concerns, and unmet needs, positive things shared by your stakeholders. I'm not going to go through all of these. Agency updates relevant to the work of what we're doing in the SAC. Don't share specific student, family, or district names. Events, that's the next thing is, if you have an event, it's on here, you have to please email Jennifer Lucier. Her email is on the document and probably in the group emails that we get, and ask to share with the SAC any events. And if you do not want to be on that list of receiving the events, then you need to contact her to opt out. Also, try not to, during roundtable, talk about individual cases with personally identifiable information. If you could generalize, that would be better. And any personal grievances or issues, if there's something that you really need to talk about, you can reach out to myself, or I believe Sean, or anybody on the executive committee, and we can talk about that offline, because I think that would be much more effective in that format. So for students, I know it's very difficult because you're only kind of experiencing what you have at your school. So I want to make sure that you feel encouraged to please share with us. If you're not sure how to generalize it, please reach out to me. Please reach out to Jennifer Lucier, anybody on the executive committee, and we would love to talk to you about any of your concerns. And even if you want to just talk about how to share at a roundtable, we would love to work with you. There are also resources at the bottom of the document that she gave us to support the SAC members for the roundtable, such as the Connecticut Youth Advisory Board and CPAC. Next, so we're going to move on. I just heard the thunder at my house, so I guess someone's sending it my way. Next, committee signups and appointments. If you're new to the SAC, or if you've been here for a while, I should ask, yeah, committees. Is this for the Padlet, what you just put up?
It is.
Okay, so if there's a code that you can, put your camera on, I'm going to do it right now, and I'm going to join the Padlet.
Sean, I'm going to share my screen so that I can show the Padlet.
Great, thanks, Missy.
So on the Padlet, we have the different committees, and I'm going to ask the chairs of the committees to take just a minute to describe the committees. And we would love people to sign up for committees. It's okay. You don't have to make every committee meeting. Just your voice is really important. So I'm going to jump ahead so I can do everything on the Padlet right now to what's on the agenda. Restraint and seclusion, that's a new work group. So that's not a committee, that's a little bit more informal. And the same thing with the LRE, least restrictive environment, that is also a work group. So these work groups are going to be informal online meetings to talk more in depth about the issues of restraint and seclusion and LRE. And then these work groups will make recommendations for the full SAC for further discussion or for approval of what the work group has come up with. It's okay if you can't make all the work group meetings. It's okay if you don't make all the committee meetings. We just want you to sign up if you can to participate. Also, a strong council is one with a succession plan. So that means the next executive committee members, the next chairs of these committees. So if you're interested in co-chairing a committee or attending an executive committee meeting, just to see if you think it's a good fit for you, and a good way to inform you on what it's going to be like if you take on a leadership role. And let me say that if I could do it, anybody can do it. So I just want to encourage everybody, you figure out how to do it along the way. And this is one of the most supportive councils and groups that I have ever been on, and everybody is willing to offer a hand. So don't think, oh, I can't do this, or I don't have the time. We all chip in and we all make it happen. So I really encourage you to get more involved, and I'm getting excited. I almost feel like I'm doing a telethon because I keep seeing more and more names go up on the Padlet who are interested in being on committees. That makes me so excited. So if you could please go on the Padlet. If you can't figure out the Padlet, Giovanni, put it in the chat. Jovi, yep. Sean Cronin, yep. Put it in the chat.
Susan, can I just add something to
Mhm.
your comment about the succession planning? I just wanted to remind everybody that CPAC does have a parent leaders roundtable, and all of the parent members of the SAC are invited to attend that, and that's including those who are serving as professional stakeholders who are also parents of children with disabilities. And that's something where we provide ongoing training and support with each other to help develop you as leaders. And Susan is part of that group, but just so you know that you have that option for continuous support if you want to do work outside of this group. And I would be the contact for that if you have any questions.
Wonderful.
It's a great group. She does a great job, so you should sign up.
Yes. There's a meeting coming up, right?
Yes.
Roundtable's coming up. Okay, so I would love if Miss Catherine Sum would just quickly, as the chair of membership, just give us 2 sentences or a few sentences of what it's like to be on the membership or nominating committee, even though I know you're not on the nominating, but.
Right, exactly. So welcome everyone. And the membership committee it's a really fun committee because we have the opportunity to review the applications of those who are submitted, those who submit them and are interested in joining the SAC. We also have the opportunity to interview prospective members. We're a really efficient committee, I'm going to say. We typically meet for 30 minutes and we usually come in at 30 minutes or less. Sometimes if we're meeting with a prospective member, it could take a little longer, but we are a very efficient group. We work well together, and we have a pretty good track record because we have very few vacancies right now. Having difficulty recruiting, we do come up with action plans. So for example, in the recent past, we created a legislative information flyer. So kudos, we have Representative Comey back. We're excited about that. And we created a student recruitment flyer. And as a result, we have filled 3 of those 4 vacancies. So we're a fun group. And we get a lot done. And I really encourage you to join because the more the merrier. Thank you.
Wonderful. Mr. Spar, do you have a few moments and words of wisdom for the legislative committee people that would possibly join?
Yes, so the legislative committee it's great to be on. You get a chance to really roll up your sleeves and take a look at stuff. The way we do it is it really kicks off starting kind of February and March or so when the legislation starts moving. And what'll happen is Brian and his staff will come up with a number of pieces of legislation that deal not just with education in broad strokes, but more particularly in special education. But some of the stuff could bleed over. So if you're talking about counseling, even though it's for general education, it could also be targeted for special education. But what we do is we get a list of all the legislation that's coming through that is of particular interest. And then what we'll do is we'll consider it, and we'll say, okay, these are out of like maybe the 10 that have been identified. These 2 are ones that we really want to take a look at. And we'll go through it and we'll look at the language, and then we'll kind of mark them, because what you'll find is a lot of times pieces of legislation, there might be something, it's like, House Bill such and such, it says, regarding special education, and it's kind of like broad strokes. And a lot of them kind of wither on the vine, but some of them get joined and redesignated, and then they'll continue through the legislative session. So some of the ones that would be these survivors that get through there will follow those. And then what we'll do is when we find the ones that really have legs that are moving, we will actually then consider them, and we can then, when it gets to the particular legislative committee, so for example, it could be the education committee, we might then participate by writing in a written commentary, or we can even speak if you'd like. But what they'll do is you can do the written commentary, and we'll do it. The legislative committee will come up with what our thoughts are. We run it by the executive committee because so that we get their blessing, and then we will actually comment. So we can actually comment plus minus whatever on the legislation. One of the things, for example, that we accomplished in the last one was they're creating a task force to look at special education, and we had wanted to have somebody from the SAC on that task force, and so we had suggested that, and in fact, that's what came out of it. So we actually had the inclusion on the task force for examining special education, including somebody from the SAC. Also on the issue of restraint and seclusion, that was really a tough one. There was a lot of different commentary in the press on that. And, you know, you had some of the people in the school system were saying, well, we don't want that tool taken away from us. And you had some of the people who are, you know, in the community saying, well, we don't necessarily want to have, you know, unfettered right to have restraint and seclusion. And so the thing that we had said was, we wanted to have the task force take a look at that because there really were some pros and cons in each way. And as a matter of fact, coming out of that, the restraint and seclusion was added to the bill of particulars for the task force to look at. So it really gives you a chance to kind of like really look to see what's coming down the road and to really help out. And you get a good sense of accomplishment.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Sean, would you speak to dispute resolution? Are you the person to speak to that?
Well, I think there's a few people who could speak to it, but I'd be happy to
Thank you so
speak a
much.
little bit to it, and maybe Jen or someone else can jump in if I don't speak enough to it. So I think the group, we haven't done much lately. However, we did get together a few times. We spoke about the complaint resolution process and alternative dispute resolution processes. We looked at some things that were happening in other states, specifically Rhode Island. We started a new call center here at BSC that has been up and running. It's been really effective to this point. It was actually in the newspaper not that long ago. So we've started a new call center that was modeled after Rhode Island. It seems to be very effective. People are calling in. And so we're looking at different ways that we can maybe possibly calm down the number of disputes that we get or complaints, and use alternative dispute resolution as a means to kind of help parents provide information about ways we can resolve complaints, and maybe work with parents around providing information around specific laws and resolutions related to dispute resolution. If anyone else has other information that I could provide, that they have, please feel free to provide it.
Anybody else have
Well, we also like to ask you for the data on all of the dispute resolution things all of the time. So that's one of the things that we do is monitor it. And one of the functions of the SAC, we are supposed to review any of the fully adjudicated due process hearings. So when we have those that actually get fully adjudicated, we will review those in that committee as well.
Wonderful. And then the work groups are just going to be from our priorities, or the SAC's priorities. Missy, is this Padlet going to be available to people that were unable to attend? Because I'm
Yeah,
going
as long as they have
for all of them.
as long as they have the link, they can get on at any time.
All right. To the entire SAC to say if you haven't filled out.
I could send it.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Yeah, if I get a link, I can send it for sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, let me look. Now we have membership committee report, and we are right on time.
Okay, great.
All right, Brian, Sean, I'm going to stop sharing, so feel free.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. And good news, we are almost full with our membership here. We only have a few vacancies. Just a reminder that we welcome some new members to the SAC in July. John Concase representative, and our newest member today is Representative Robin Comey. So Robin, welcome. It's so nice to have you back. When I got the notice that you would be joining us again, I learned about this at the end of a workday, and I thought, okay, this is the way I wanted to end my day. So I'm thrilled that you're back, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with you again. So welcome. And so now we only have 4 legislative vacancies. So that's great. And we will be updating our legislative information flyer, which is on the website. So look for an updated version shortly. We have 1 student vacancy. We do have a student who's interested. He's settling in after summer break, and hopefully will submit an application soon. And then we have our newest position. If you recall, we updated our bylaws over the summer. So we have a vacancy for a special education paraeducator. So if you know anyone who may be interested in joining the SAC, please encourage them to apply. They're welcome to contact me or any member of the SAC if they have any questions. So that is really the update from membership. And what I'm going to do as well is I will share the link in the chat shortly where you can access the recordings of previous meetings. So if you are a new or newer member and you're interested, I'll get that information to you. Any questions? No? All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. So, oh, wonderful. Representative Comey is going to ask other legislators. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mr. Jeffrey Spar for a legislative committee update. Jeff? All right, is Jeff still on, Missy?
I don't
I'm
see
here,
him.
here. I
Oh,
just,
there he is. Yep.
I
Do you
was
have a
over on
quick
another screen
update?
trying to get to an email here. Hold on.
I think we're gonna, I know it'll be, there's I believe later Sean is going to be giving the legislative session the new laws and requirements that came from the legislative session, but
So, can you hear me?
yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the things is, we're going to be going into the legislative session, you know, when it gets going. But one of the things, just looking back, I just wanted to know, and maybe Representative Comey can make a note of this. It was interesting because when I was talking about the restraint and seclusion before, you know, there was the bill that was going to be talking about restraint and seclusion. And then I was looking to see, you know, whatever happened to it. And it's like, oh, well, it died on the vine. And then I just happened to see in the press at one point, they were saying that the Education Committee had said they were going to assign it to a task force. I'm like, oh, okay. So then I followed up with one of the co-chairs, Representative Curry, and then also the local representative from Norwalk happened to be on the Education Committee, Dominique Johnson. And I followed up with both of them to find out about that. And what I was informed was that the reference to the task force that was going to include consideration of the restraint and seclusion items was put into a public act, and it was Public Act 23-150. So I said, oh, okay, fine. So then I went and I looked at the public act, and one of the things I noticed, and I note this to Representative Comey, was that the task force that we're talking about, you know, it had the restraint and seclusion added to it as one of their charges. But the original task force was created back in 2021, and it was included in Public Act 21-95. And that was given a particular period of time within which they were going to create a report. It was extended by Public Act 22-116, and then it was continued through Public Act now 23-151. And in the most recent iteration of it, the task force was given the assignment of studying, and this is where we're talking about the restraining seclusion, quote, the prohibition of the use of seclusion under section 10-236B of the general statutes and the implementation of alternative methods in lieu of seclusion of certain student behavior, end quote. That's their current charge. One of the things I noted, however, was that when the original task force was created, it was indicated that they were assigned to conduct a study for school years July 1, 2016 through July 1, 2020. And they were supposed to have submitted a report of the findings by January 1 of 2022. So that kind of got me like scratching my head. So you're studying school years like 16 and 20. Your report's not due until 22, but the report that's due in 22 is going back to stuff of 20. So it didn't seem like it was all that current. And then when they did the Public Act 22-116, the deadline for when the task force had to come up with its when it had to come up with its report was extended to this coming January 1st of 2024. However, it rolled forward what the study years were, so it kept in place that the study years were only going to be back to 2016. And I'm like, really? So you're coming up with a report in 2024, but excuse me, to 2020, my fault. And so now we have the passage of the Public Act, the current one, 23-150, which is extending the life of the task force. Now the task force report on special education, they're supposed to have an interim report by January 1st of 2024, with the final report no later than July 1st of 2025. So that's like way down the road. But also when you look at the language of the Public Act, it still carries forward that the schools will be commencing July 1, 2016 to July 1, 2020 inclusive. So I would like to see upcoming just some kind of clarification. I would like to bump forward the time of study. It doesn't seem to make any sense that we're issuing a report in July of 2025 that terminates with the school year of 2020. Anyhow, so I had written that and to the chair, and I had received a response from the chair, Representative Curry, and he said, fortunately, we have thoughtful individuals leading this work who are not limiting their work to what I would now consider arbitrarily selected years. We are looking forward to substantive recommendation without limitation. Well, you know, and I applaud that. That's all well and good, but just I'm the kind of like dotting the I's and crossing the T's person. I think that we should probably even change the years just to have it there. Okay, maybe too highly technical for everybody, but that's my thoughts.
No, I appreciate that. Jennifer, myself, and Brian are all on the special education task force. So will you make sure that, I know you sent me that email about about conflicting dates. If you make sure that the three of us get it, and Representative Comey as well?
Yep, I will definitely do that. I'll do that right immediately.
Okay, thank you so much.
I would just say, Jeffrey, the only thing that I can think of, is either this is what happens, right? So if something gets taken off the table, because we can't move fast enough on it, or there's, you know, like you said, a variety of opinions on something, we make it a task force to do more research in it, so that we don't pass something that is perhaps, you know, have unintended consequences. I would think that those we can't do anything so current because of maybe the data collection avenue of it, as well as some of those years were pandemic years. So the data is, you know, not really indicative of a normal period of time. I think that's great. I look forward to your email, and we can ask our policy specialists as well if Jeff, you know, if Representative Curry hasn't, you know, given you an answer that is, you know, acceptable. So.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the fact that, you know, you have to go by what data you have. That's obviously true. You have to, you know, use the tools that you have. I just was, I wanted to make sure that if at all possible, if you're going to be having a final report that's going to be in July of 2025, that it would be as, you know, as current as possible and not limited to 2020.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Representative Comey. Thank you, Jeff. All right, we are moving on to, we're going to go over what our priorities are for this year. Thank you, Sean. Are you going to be doing this? I know we don't have a lot of time, so we have to get to the special education director's report. Sean?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
So, you know, we met in July and there were 5 priorities that came out of that meeting. And so these 5 priorities were least restrictive environment, special education staffing as far as recruitment and retention, student voice in education, special education and social emotional health, and post-secondary outcomes for students. I'm trying to think, did Brian also give us additional slides, Susan, that we needed to go through, or was this it?
I believe this is, these are the only slides, because I believe today we didn't really have the time to go thoroughly over priority. Or is our next meeting a 9 to 1?
I believe it is.
Yeah, and we'll go more into what I guess what we should ask Brian is if he could send us where we are, like what we have underneath least restrictive environment, what our thoughts were.
Okay.
The document that we did this summer in July.
Yep.
So that would help us. And I would ask anybody on the committee is when we do get that to just review that so that when we go into this in October, that we jump right in and everybody knows what's going on. So, because we never seem to have enough time. Because I believe, because Brian is so excellent at writing everything down that we say.
And we do have them all laid out. I know that we took copious notes during the July get-together, so we do have all of this information laid out under each of these 5 priority areas. So that's no problem for us to get this out to you.
Right, right. And I'm assuming, are we going to, because I know we have a restraint and seclusion. Will that be going under least restrictive environment for our priorities?
I believe that, or did we want to put it under least restrictive environment, or are we going to put it under something else? I'm not sure. Was it under least restrictive environment?
I feel like it was under social emotional health, because we were linking that to behavior.
That's what I thought too, Jen.
Okay.
That's my recollection too.
Yeah, and something to note is that some of these are kind of carried over from our previous year's priorities, but we kind of fine-tuned what those points underneath it were.
Right. And we felt the student voice in education was in every one of these. Every category had the student voice in education in it.
Correct.
Okay.
Great. I will get that information out. I'll tell Brian if we could get that information out to people then before our next meeting, so people have a chance to review it, and we'll have further discussion at the next meeting.
That would be wonderful. Okay. Any hands up? I want to make sure I don't jump past because I don't see any hands. Okay, we are next on to our round table. So I would like, raise your hand if you have any updates from your stakeholders, as well as any positive aspects of student programming, including any unmet needs. And if you don't have anything to share, you can always just feel free to pass. You don't have to raise your hand. So if you have something to share, raise your hand. I'm just going to start with mine. So I had met with some educational audiologists, and it was brought to my attention that the language and communication plan, which is part of the PPT process of an IEP, is not consistently being filled out before the IEP plan. So it acts as a guide for the IEP. So the language and communication plan is supposed to be filled out first, and then that guides the PPT of the IEP. And I didn't know, I know there's a notice. I don't know when you do fill out the IEP, I do know that there is something that says you should do this first. But it's my understanding it hasn't been consistent. So that's the only update that I have. I see Missy has her hand up.
Hi, everybody. So as a co-chair for our SEAC parent meeting in Canterbury, we have our first meeting of the year next year. And topics that we will be discussing specifically will be, I'm going to be doing an 8th grade, because Canterbury doesn't have their own high school, so we have a big meeting for 8th graders where they come and they meet all the high schools that students can go to and stuff like that. And I'll be setting up a transition resource table at that school fair just to share transition information for families. Other further training that we're looking at having conversation with families about our student success plans, as well as possibly setting up another resource fair that we did a few years back. So there'll be some of you that I contact to set up that resource fair. And so we're looking forward, hopefully, to, we're going to be back in person this year. So hopefully people will come out to the meetings. So.
Thank you. Cassandra, I see your hand up.
Yep. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to give a quick update from the charter world. It's kind of, we've got the greatness and then a couple areas of concern, particularly in light of the staffing crisis. I know overall, there's a group of charter schools that is working with an outside agency and with the state to solidify funding. There are some districts in which the charter schools have not been reimbursed for any of the special education services or very minimally for multiple years, which is making it very challenging to operate as a school and also to meet kids' needs. I think the schools that I know of and have been in touch with myself are fully staffed in terms of their piece, right? So they have multiple special education teachers on staff, things are up and running. But we are in a lot of districts that are really struggling in terms of staffing. And so particularly related services and school psychologists, there's schools in which we've done the educational testing because that is what the school handles, but we still don't have cognitive or speech and language testing for children coming up on a school year. And certainly for our schools that work with the youngest children, it's really concerning in terms of language development. The answers we've gotten from one district is, well, we'll provide comp ed, it's a shortage everywhere, but providing the service to a 4-year-old is very different from providing comp ed when that child is 6. And that seems to be what we're looking at right now. So I think, offline, if anybody has strategies or ideas or could problem solve, I would really, really appreciate the support because it's rather heartbreaking.
I'm so sorry, Cassandra. It's staffing is a very important issue right now. Everybody's struggling, and which means the students are struggling. And I know there's a lot of agencies that are trying to tackle it, but I don't know if anyone's come up with a magic consensus or a magic.
Right. Yeah. And I guess what's a little concerning is when it's on the scale that it's on, there becomes almost a lack of urgency because it's so widespread. And for me, bringing it back to the impact it's having on children and families is pretty critical. So.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And folks, any other ideas, even getting super creative, that would be fabulous. Or other questions about the situation, I'm happy to respond.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Mr. Smith?
Yes, good. Well, thank you very much for that, Mr. Smith. First, I just wanted to say thank you to the State Department of Education. We received notice internally that some funds from the State Department of Ed will be coming our way so that we can use it as grant dollars like we did last year and provide some additional supports and services to youth who are with IEPs in school districts statewide. So we utilize the grant program that we already have established to get those funds to families and youth throughout Connecticut. And we just got word that some additional funds this fiscal year were released to us. So we're very excited about that to address more of those after school related needs. Speaking of school, the graduates, as we all know, with the legislation passing, the shifting of the end of the person's school went back to the end of June of the school year by which they turned 22. So it's no longer that 22nd birthday. So we did some shifting in our planning as an agency. The vast majority of youth took advantage of this opportunity statewide with support from their families in the area school districts. We did have some who remained and chose to exit based on established plans of transition into adult services with us. So, but the vast majority, I don't have the exact data, but the vast majority did stay in school, compliments of that shift in legislation. And the last thing I just wanted to point out is that, as always, we're doing a lot of collaboration with state agencies, as I've started this out with, and we're doing some great work in collaboration with our friends over at BRS, Rehabilitation Services. We're doing a little bit of a pilot program with them, which we're continuing with to expand work-based learning opportunities for youth between the ages of 16 and 17. So we're looking at dipping down lower, targeting youth at an earlier age in those transition years and getting them opportunities and exposure to work sooner rather than what's traditionally offered. So we have 9 districts statewide that were identified with VDS support, and we're working in collaboration with that. So we're pretty excited that school's back in session because many of those districts decided to push that opportunity off until the fall. Because when we were engaging them, it was fast approaching the end of the school year. So we're really excited about all these different opportunities. So I figured I would share that out. Thank you all.
Thank you. Representative Coney, you had your hand up?
No, I just wanted to offer Cassandra a piece of advice. I put it in the chat if she wants to take a look at it.
Thank you so much.
I see it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Catherine.
Everyone, just a quick update from BESB. We are in the process of planning our annual series of fall in-service trainings for education team members, and those trainings are planned for later this month and into early and mid-October. And I'm excited because I'm in a different place than I was last year, where I am currently fully staffed. I'm really fortunate, but we have noticed an uptick in referrals in the last year. So I'm hopeful that I may be able to add some additional positions. I'm in the process of analyzing our budget and our staffing needs, so we can stay tuned for more on that. And we also have a number of events planned for students of all ages, as well as families in the coming months, as well as later this school year. So all is well at BESB right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Hi, I just wanted to add something in regards to the staffing issues because a district had brought something up to me. Basically, they're bleeding paras. They started off the year, fully staffed. But as the first week started, they lost about half of them. A big problem is the pay rate. You can make more at Target than you can being a one-to-one for a student with disabilities. And I thought it was an interesting remark that they said that it is very easy for them to get 20-something, dollars an hour to pay for a tutor, but their board will not let them pay above like a certain rate for the paras. So one of their recommendations was for some kind of statewide minimum for special education para educators, so that it's more of a livable wage and that they can actually build up the workforce. So I just wanted to bring that suggestion that was brought to me.
That's a great suggestion. Tammy?
Thank you, Susan. I just wanted to bring some attention to the new legislation that came out about the change in age for the start of kindergarten. So no longer can children start at age 4 in September. They need to be 5. It used to be 4 in September and turning 5 in January. They now need to be 5 at the start of school. And that is causing some challenges across the state for districts who have grants, such as the Smart Start grant. There's now a gap year there, so we may take a student at age 3 as they exit birth to 3, and we may have a preschool spot for them at age 4. And then we have to turn them away for a year because in September of that next year, they're not 5. And you can't have the same student enroll 2 years in the Smart Start grant. So although I think that was the way to go with changing the start date, I think there's some cleanup work that can probably be done next legislative session to expand opportunities for those preschool students who may not be turning 5 and not send a child back to daycare after 2 years of preschool.
Thank you, Tammy. And I know universal pre-K is something that's on the table every year that would probably fill that gap. Okay, I don't see any other hands. Missy, do you see any other hands?
I'm raising my personal hand.
Oh, your personal hand. How dare you?
Not my technological hand. I just wanted to say, I wanted to process what Tammy just said. It actually didn't start this year, it's starting next year, but it's something to be thoughtful. I hear you, but I'm also hearing a kid on an IEP shouldn't be limited by a Smart Start grant. They're on an IEP, they get to be served. So that's a different concern. But the other thing I wanted to share is some of our upcoming events. I find it hard to share trends because our summer is a little different than the rest of the year. So we have not had we've had a big back to school start with lots of calls, but the trending hasn't really come out yet to know what the issues are at the beginning of the year. We always have transportation issues. There's always the start of the year when classes need to change. But some of the things we have coming up for events, I wanted to share. November 1st, we have a very big event for equity and language access, and we're going to have 10 different language interpreters available to families who speak 10 different languages, the top in Connecticut, so that families can learn their rights towards having things shared with them in their primary language. So that's something, once we have the flyer, we'll share with the group and hope that you can promote far and wide so that parents all across the state can have access. Jennifer, I don't know if you want to share your topics that you're talking about doing with Sean and developing throughout the whole year. We have a series of different webinars.
I wasn't sure. Can I say that, Sean? Are you on here?
Someone's on here. I see a cursor.
Sean, are you able to unmute?
Oh, about our series that we talked about doing. I wasn't sure.
I was having a problem unmuting. Yes, you can absolutely say something about that we were going to work on doing some topics on restraint and seclusion together. That's perfect. Along with some dispute resolution work.
I thought it was relevant for the committees that we just formed, so I wanted to share that between CPAC and the Bureau, we're going to try to do some topics for virtually for everyone, dual capacity, parent, professional, on restraint and seclusion, and dispute resolution, because of them being really hot topics right now. So those will be coming up throughout this school year, along with the language access, which is November 1st. So we're really in the planning stages right now, but our phones, the BSE call center and CPAC call center have been very, very busy. So I'm sure the schools are very, very busy too.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there anybody with a virtual or a real hand up that I do not see? Unmute and speak now. No? Okay, wonderful. Then next, we're gonna roll over to the wonderful Sean for the Special Education Division Director's Report about legislative session requirements.
I am going to pull up another slide deck, so let me get that because Brian has multiple slide decks he shared with me. And Jeff, if you have anything to share, please let me know because I am not the legislative person.
While Sean is looking, I just want to remind everybody, next meeting date is October 25th from 9 to 1. That's in person. There will be a virtual component. And Jolie is going to update us as soon as she can with a confirmation email of where we will be. But it will be somewhere central.
Can everybody see the slides?
Yes.
Okay. So I am going to go, now Susan, I'm assuming these are the slides you're talking about the legislative summary?
Yes.
Okay.
Just
So
want
I
to
would go-
quickly go over.
Okay.
I think Brian touched on some of it at our last meeting, but he was not able to get to all of what happened this legislative session.
Okay. So we'll start with the legislative summary that he has here. I don't know all the ins and outs. I'll try to give you as much information as I have that he has provided here. If I have any questions or if you have any questions and I can't answer them, please let me know. I'll bring them back to him and we'll get the information back to you. So the first is HB 6762, special education complaints. So beginning this year in July, Public Act requires SD to post on its website summaries of complaints that the department and other entities, 1 second. So beginning July 1st, 2023, the Public Act requires SD to post on its website summaries of the complaints filed with the department about a board of education or other entities' provisions of special education and related services to a student and corrective actions required by the department. Before posting these decisions and the documents online, SD must redact any personally identifiable student information. So we are going to be posting any of our findings related to our complaint investigations. We haven't started this yet, but we will be doing this in the near future. So this is one thing that we will be doing related to our complaint investigations. So HB 6880 is an act concerning teachers and paraeducators. Paraeducator professional development. By law, local and regional boards of education must make available an annual free professional development program of at least 18 hours to any paraeducators they employ. Beginning in the 2023-24 school year, the Public Act prohibits trainings that are otherwise mandated, training on bloodborne pathogens, sexual harassment, or the Department of Children and Families policies and procedures from being part of the 18 hours. Additionally, the Public Act requires SD to collaborate with the School Paraeducator Advisory Council to develop and update guidance and best practices for paraeducator professionals development programs, which SD must distribute to each Board of Education. By law, the School Paraeducator Advisory Council advises the Education Commissioner on professional development, staffing strategies, and other relevant issues relating to paraprofessionals. Anybody have any questions? The next one is HB 6880 again, and it's an act concerning teachers and paraeducators. And it's paraeducator PDEC membership. By law, each local and regional board of education must form a professional development and evaluation committee to participate in developing or adopting the district's teacher evaluation and support program and develop, evaluate, and annually update the district's comprehensive local professional development plan for certified employees. Under the current law, a PDEX member must be teacher, administrators, and other personnel the board finds appropriate. The Public Act adds at least one paraeducator chosen by any exclusive bargaining representative for paraeducators to the required PDEC membership. So an act concerning teachers and paraeducators again, section 12, IEP review by paraprofessionals, by law, school paraprofessionals, or any other paraprofessional providing special education or related services to a student must be allowed to view a student's IEP. The Public Act adds the requirement that these paraprofessionals review the IEP with a supervisor as needed. So comprehensive special education endorsements. Under the current law, anyone who holds a teaching certificate with endorsement to teach comprehensive special education in grades 1 through 12 may extend the endorsement to grades kindergarten through 1 if the applicant has earned a satisfactory score on the SBE approved reading instruction exam or a comparable reading instruction exam with the minimum standards that are equivalent to the SBE approved one. Under the Public Act, anyone who holds this endorsement for grades 1 through 12 may extend it to grades pre-kindergarten through 12 if they meet the above reading instruction exam scores. Another act concerning teachers and paraeducators. Integrated and cross endorsements. SDE issues endorsements to teachers who hold initial, provisional, or professional level teacher certification. These endorsements are added to the certificate to signify expertise in the subject area. SDE refers to additional endorsements received in other subject areas as cross endorsements. Beginning on July 1st, 2023, the Public Act allows SDE in cooperation with the Office of Higher Education to authorize the following new endorsements: integrated early childhood, special education birth kindergarten, integrated early childhood, elementary education N to 3, and special education N to K. The Public Act specifies that the second and third endorsements listed above are to be added as a cross endorsement as a replacement for requiring full planned program and institutional recommendations. Any questions yet?
John, can I just
John,
ask?
Yeah,
John,
I was
would
just
you be
gonna
able to
say,
forward that?
I think that we did a lot of this at our July meeting, and I know I can see that there's 24 pages, and I'm sure you don't want to read them all out loud
Absolutely.
individually. So are we able to get a copy of this sent out? Because I believe
Absolutely, I'm
we've
happy to do
touched,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
just to
that's-
save you the time, because we've touched
Right.
around a lot of the important legislation around transition. And I think that our legislative committee will probably be going into this stuff a little more in depth as we get guidance from the State Department,
Sure.
unless anybody else disagrees.
No, I was gonna ask the same thing to have it sent.
Yeah, I was gonna ask for the.
As much as we love to hear your voice, Sean.
Believe me, I'm happy to not read it. And believe me, I don't know legislation as well as Brian does, so I'm happy to send this out to people.
Yeah.
All right, then should we move on to the back to school summary, which was wonderful, and Ms. Jean Hampton was an amazing speaker. So Sean, do you want to go review that? I believe you should have a back to school summary.
Sure, we have another slideshow from Brian on back to school. Let me pull that up. One second.
Sean, while you're doing that, I just dropped in the chat a link for OSEP, the Office of Special Education Programs, latest guidance on general monitoring and supervision. That was one of the topics that was covered at Back to School. So I just wanted to share it with the group because that is one of our charges as part of the SAC, is to help be a part of our general monitoring and supervision activities for the state of Connecticut. And basically, it's just OSEP is reaffirming that the Office of Special Education Programs has the authority to monitor states, which has the authority to monitor our local education agencies, which is our school districts, to make sure that they are fulfilling their requirements under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. So it's written in a Q&A form. It's really easy to follow, but it's just something that as people on this council, it's something you might want to check out and read and be informed about.
Yeah, and John just put in the chat, can the back to school event recording be shared? I know they were posting it in snippets as it was happening in live time. And that would just be of the main event, not the breakout sessions. Sean, do you want to just, if you can't find it, you want to just share that recording with the SAC when you have time?
Sure, I'd be happy to, but I know that he sent them. I'm just looking for them. They should be here in just.
Who from the group went to Back to School? I thought it was a great event.
Yeah, I thought it was a great event, and my breakout session, one of them was basically about recruitment, paraeducators, and I think there are a lot of people with wonderful ideas, and they were shared with State Department of Education, who is taking copious notes.
I put the link for Back to School up in the chat so that you can take a look at the resources and everything that's been posted there.
Thank you, Missy.
Thank you, Missy. I forgot Circrant was in charge.
So these are the slides from Back to School that Brian wanted to share. This is the Back to School website that was created.
There you go.
There you go.
I knew he had shared it with me.
You're doing great, Sean.
So here's the Back to School website. It has all of the information. And so it was really a wonderful day. Great speakers and great breakouts. So the next thing, he talked about the Aspiring Leadership Program. The first and second year special education administrators take part in it. It's support and professional learning for first and second year special education administrators. It's a great networking opportunity. And so it really teaches them about requirements through CSDE. And so it's really a proactive approach, and it's supported by UConn. And so this is just a slide that explains what it is. And so that's one of the things that he wanted me to share. This is executive coaching, and it's through CAS, the Connecticut Association of Schools. And so it talks about who can benefit for executive coaching. It talks about the district and school benefits and possible areas of focus. And so this was one of the slides that he had also shared. It was really sorry, I went too far ahead. It was really something that he was offering to people during his presentation, just as another support to administrators and staff. And so it was just something that he had in the slide deck to provide as another support. He then provided information related to all of the staff that are available in the Bureau, along with our pictures, which I love when he does this. District points of contact, along with the BSC call center, So the local school district supports, each of us are assigned school districts. So we usually get about 15 school districts assigned to us. So each consultant has 15 school districts. And then for surrogate parents, Georgette and Jen James are assigned to work with surrogate parents. APSEPS, Dory Papa works specifically with APSEPS. And then charter schools, Jen James is assigned to charter schools. He then spoke specifically about the BSE call center and what it does. Parents and community is a parent and community resource. It provides resources and information. It improves responsiveness, improves communication, and it's proactive to dispute resolution. So then he talked about local education agencies and APR. And so per the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, the CSDE must make an annual determination for each district in the state and publicly report on these determinations. The Bureau of Special Education and the Performance Office use the District Annual Performance Report, or APR, to fulfill these statutory requirements. They either meet requirements, they need assistance level 1 or level 2, need intervention level 1 or 2, or need substantial intervention. And we do these determinations on an annual basis with each district in the state. And then what we do is we work with districts to see if we need to provide additional support to districts related to these determinations. The 2022 determinations were based on 2020-21 district data on compliance indicators, along with new results indicators for the first time, including chronic absenteeism for students with disabilities. The determinations include suspension, expulsion, disproportionality, evaluation timelines, Part C to Part B transition, which we had talked a little bit about related to IRF to 3 and going from to IDEA and IEPs in the school system. And so that transition, secondary transition, timely correction of non-compliance, timely and accurate data, and chronic absenteeism. MET is equal to less than or equal to 20% of children with IEPs who are chronically absent. Attendance results. So chronic absenteeism is missing at least 10% of school days. Chronic absenteeism last year declined from 3.7% for all students and 5.5% among students with high needs. All race and ethnic groups also declined. Approximately 18,000 more students attended school regularly in 2022 than in 2023 as compared in 2021 and 2022. And around 100,000 students were chronically absent in 2022 and 2023. So 2023 is to be determined in fall of 2023. 2022 determinations met were 141, needs assistance 1 was 24, needs assistance 2 were 2, and needs intervention 1 were 3 districts. In 2021 determination, met was 151 and needs assistance 1 was 11. So right now, there is a 3-year evaluation. So during the 23 to 24 school year, the REST Alliance is participating with the CSDE as far as conducting a 3-year reevaluation to assist districts in areas of need due to shortages at no cost to districts. So the fall cohort from October to December, and then there will be a spring cohort. So we're doing a 3-year evaluation. And there's a QR code if people want to participate as far as the evaluation is concerned. The other thing he spoke about was a community of practice. All areas related to I'm sorry, I'm having a blank here, but as far as related services, that's what I wanted to say. So special speech and language, occupational therapies, physical therapy, school psychologists, social work, behavior analysts, they have a community of practice, and these groups are listed here. And so we work with the rest of the law about the communities of practice at the back to school meeting. Special Ed Connection. I think many people know about Special Ed Connection. It's a one-stop shop. It talks about best practices to meet legal and regulatory mandates. It's ready to use. Charts and checklists and professional development tools. We use it all the time here, especially when it comes to complaints and investigations for dispute resolution. It's staying current on administrative policy and changes from OSEP and OSERS and OCR. It's searchable, it's easy to use, it's user-friendly, so Special Ed Connection is great. This is a Connecticut Special Ed reference that he also spoke about. So just something that he had put up and that was available. Superintendent circular letter on 2023, and then a legislative summary slide deck. It was located in the AM session section. So this we'll be sending out these slides to people too. And that was it.
Thank you, Sean. You were able to summarize that quickly. It was because it was a very, very long day. Thank you, and thank you for everything you're going to share with us so that we can digest it on our own. Next meeting, we'll have an executive meeting between now and the next meeting, and we'll go over what we will be doing at the next meeting. I know we'll be getting into more detail with priorities so that we can get the annual report all set. So again, next meeting, October 25th from 9 to 1. Does anyone have any question or comments? I know we have a few action items we need to, that we wrote down, such as getting the detailed priorities to everybody and getting the space set for the next meeting. Anyone have any questions or comments before we end? Okay, no, I want to thank everybody for being here. It's such a diverse group of individuals and your stakeholders you represent that I think it's such a valuable resource, and we are doing really great things. So would someone please make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I will.
Jake made the motion, second?
Second.
Wonderful. All favor of adjournment? Okay. Adjournment at 10:30 a.m. right on time.
Josh Martin has his hand raised. I don't know if that's to adjourn.
Josh.
Okay.
Oh, that was crazy for acceptance of adjournment.
Okay.
10:30. Woo, right on time. Thank you. See everybody soon.
Hey, Brian, do you have a second day, everyone?